What's up guys, I hope you're doing well. A few weeks ago somebody asked me how Sewerslvt made Lolibox, so I decided I would remake it and share the FLP. The song is pretty simple, but it's just long, so once you get into all the elements, it's actually pretty easy to understand. If you want, you can use the Ko-fi link in the description to download the FLP alongside all of the required samples for everything to run. I only used stock FL Studio effects to ensure that everyone is able to open and use the project without any errors. The only other thing you need to download is the synth vital, but since that's free, there shouldn't be any issues. If you want me to remake something else, go and comment that down below. I'm still pretty new to remaking songs, but I think I can give stuff a shot. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. So the first thing I did was took the song and plugged that into TuneBat. And TuneBat said it was at 128 BPM and in the key of F minor. And then after that, I went to whosampled.com to find what pad was sampled, and that came up with The Day of Night from the Silent Hill 2 OST. And from there, I pitched it down 1200 cents for one full octave. And then after that, I pretty much listened to the whole song bit by bit to make sure I chopped everything up right and got all the drums as accurate as I could, along with changing the automation clips. So starting with the pad, I panned it a little bit to the right, turned it all the way up, added, I believe, the Blur White preset from Convolver, a compressor, and a low cut. In the first section of the song, pad sounds like this. And my recreation sounds like this. And in my opinion, I think that sounds perfect. Moving on to later in the song, the pad changes a little bit and then uses the same chop for the majority of the song. So this first one sounds like this. And compared to this. I think it's pretty spot on. So aside from a few cuts, pretty much stays the same until the end where it fades out. And to mimic the fading out, I took the same piece and then created an automation clip on the master and just made it fade out, which sounds like this. And when compared to this, again, I think it's pretty accurate. I'll try and not say that. I know since I'm posting it, I do think it's accurate enough. But that being said, there might be some minor details that, might be off by just a little bit. But I did try my best to get it as faithfully recreated as I could. Next up, we're moving on to the drums. I got all of the drum sounds by extracting the stem from the song itself. And then I, highlighted the drum sounds I need. So in this case, the kick, claps, the hi-hats, and exported them out. And those will be included within the FLP zip file. So starting off with this kick, it has Destructor, pretty low filter, and 2 EQs to get rid of some of the higher, noisier ends of the sound. And all of the drum sounds are hooked up to the drum bus, which has their own pretty low filter and reverb at these settings. The kick sounds like this. Compared to this. which might sound a little quiet, but the MP3 is compressed and it all kind of evens out in the mix. And then over here, where the low filter and the EQ kick in, sounds like this. Pretty simple stuff. Next we have this clap, which has its own little reverb on it, and that sounds like this. Compared to this. Next we have this hi-hat with bit crush, reverb, and a Fruity Blood overdrive that is automated, along with this multi-level EQ. And that sounds like this. Compared to this. And then with the Fruity Blood overdrive, the hat sounds like this. Finally, for the drums, we have the second hi-hat, which does not have any effects on it. It does have a slight mid-range raise from the EQ, and that sounds like this. Compared to this. Now starting with the first bit of sound design, we have this bass within Vital, and if you're wondering how I figured out the notes, what I did was I went to the master and put on Wave Candy. And Wave Candy you might know from videos, or maybe you use it yourself. When you play a sound, it shows the frequencies. However, if you expand this, go to Spectrum, increase it to the max number of bands, and increase the scale all the way up, and then play something, it'll show the notes. And then if you hit freeze at the right time, it'll line up pretty perfectly with the keys. And so you can see from here, the notes line up with what is the F and then the C. And because this is a bass, you want to pay attention to the notes lowest at the bottom. Getting back to the sound itself, I used Destructor for the Fruity Blood overdrive, and then in Vital, I took a sine wave, pitched it down 2 octaves, took this AC hum noise and looped it, put it on this filter, and then in effects, added a compressor, a distortion, and an EQ with these settings. And like you heard earlier, that brought us this. Moving on to the final, and honestly the hardest part, was this secondary bass plug. Now I tried to recreate this myself within Vital, but I just couldn't figure it out. So I went on presetshare.com and put a request for somebody to recreate it. And a user by the name of KYUU created this preset for me that I tweaked a little bit, but most of the stuff you see, like all of these automations and whatnot, that's all of them. So big shout out and thank you to Q. So in the mix, I added some Destructor, a reverb, and a slight low cut so it didn't interfere too much with the other bass, and then played these notes. Which when compared to this, I think is pretty spot on. And then that's really it. It's just a lot of the same elements looped over and over. It's just meant to be a pretty nice and ambient dance track. I'll let the full version of my remake play out. And once again, if you want to download this FLP just to explore the elements for yourself, or tweak anything to make it better, you can do so with the Ko-fi link in the description below. Any other remakes, presets, loop packs, whatever musically that I put out will be put onto that Ko-fi page, and they will always be free. If you want, you can choose to donate however much you want, but that's not required. I want to put out a lot of stuff for free, so those who don't have the money to, pay for it, who can still access it, which is the same reason why I'm using Lido for this, so everyone's able to access it. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the reading, and enjoy the rest of your day.